He is not missing. That is the first thing you need to understand. Papoose, Shamil Mackey, the man who built an entire second career off being the most loyal husband in hip-hop, the man who held Remy Ma down through a 6-year prison vid and got a whole culture to call him the blueprint, that man is somewhere right now, very deliberately not being found, while the woman he is reportedly building his entire new life around, Claressa Shields, the greatest women's boxer of her generation, is sitting in interview after interview answering questions about him, about his marriage, about his divorce, about his money, about whether he manages her, whether he touches her fight checks, whether he even has a job. And he is nowhere. No statement. No post. No appearance. Just silence and car freestyles. And here is the part that should bother you, because everything you have been watching about this situation has been framed around the wrong question. Everybody keeps asking, where is Papoose? Like he lost his phone. Like this is some scheduling mix-up. No. The question is not where he is. The question is what he is protecting by not showing up, and the answer lives in a divorce courtroom in New Jersey, in a TuneCore arrangement that Remy Ma already put on the table, and in a specific radio interview moment where Claressa Shields was asked, on camera, how much longer she is willing to be in a relationship with somebody's husband. That clip and the divorce filing are not two separate stories. They are the same story. And when we get to the breakdown of why a man whose whole brand was loyalty suddenly cannot afford to open his mouth, and I promise you we are getting there, you are going to understand that this was never about love, and it was never even about beef. It is about money, leverage, and a man who realized that everything he says can and will be used against him. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now let me set this table properly, because if you have only been catching pieces of this through the Shade Room and 30-second TikTok clips, you do not have the full picture, and the full picture is where this gets ugly. Papoose and Remy Ma were not just a rap couple. They were the rap couple. She went to prison in 2008 on that shooting case. They got married over the phone while she was inside, and for 6 years this man did the interviews, wore the free Remy energy, visited, held the family together. And when she came home in 2014, they turned it into a whole second act, love and hip-hop, the Black Love brand, the renewal of vows, the golden child, the whole fairy tale. He was the husband. That was the identity. Not the rapper, let's be honest. The rap career had been on life support for years, the husband. That was the product. Then 2023 happens, and suddenly Remy is spending a whole lot of time around a battle rapper named Easy the Block Captain, who, and I need you to sit with this, is basically a younger, more current version of Papoose himself. Same battle rap pedigree. Same Philadelphia to New York energy. Remy made him a centerpiece of her Chrome 23 Battle League. And by December 2024, at a Chrome 23 event, Papoose allegedly put hands on Easy backstage. TMZ reported Papoose straight up admitted to beating the man up, and from that moment, the whole fairy tale collapsed in public. Remy went on Instagram Live and torched everything. She said she financially supported the family. She said Papoose didn't really have a job, that his situation at TuneCore was some percentage of subscriptions arrangement, and he was begging her to subscribe to TuneCore, to her 11 million followers to make him look good. She offered, on camera, to pay for his divorce lawyer. His own divorce lawyer. Meanwhile, Papoose fires back with claims that Remy cheated numerous times, that he paid every bill, that he wrote the bulk of her music, that they went to therapy after he caught her. And then in May 2025, he finally filed for divorce, reportedly claiming he had requested it multiple times, and immediately, the Claressa Shields situation went from rumor to centerpiece. Claressa confirmed they had been together going on 2 years. 2 years. Do the math on that against the marriage timeline. And now the undefeated, multi-division, million-dollar deal champion of the world is the one sitting in the hot seat at every press run, fielding questions about a man who will not come to the microphone himself. The stakes here are not gossip stakes. This is about a legacy rapper's financial survival post-marriage, a champion athlete's brand being dragged into somebody else's divorce proceedings, and a culture trying to figure out whether the most celebrated, loyal husband in hip-hop history was ever actually the man the brand said he was. So the question driving everything you're about to hear is simple. Why is the one man at the center of all of this the only person not talking? Let's start with what we can all see, because the surface evidence alone is damning. Exhibit 1. The radio interview. Claressa Shields is doing press, for her career, and the host asks her directly about Papoose's role in her life and business. And Claressa, on camera, in front of everybody, shuts the whole internet narrative down. She says, and this is documented, go watch it, Pap is not her manager. Pap does not get a percentage of what she makes. He doesn't touch her fight money. She said just because his ex said it doesn't make it true. She even joked about her pockets being slim. Now stop right there, because I need you to understand what just happened in that clip. The entire Remy Ma side of this war, the narrative that Papoose left his wife and immediately embedded himself into the finances of a champion boxer, that he went from allegedly living off Remy to living off Claressa. Claressa just stood in front of a microphone and torched it. Publicly. For him. She did his defense for him. And where was he? Nowhere. Exhibit 2, the question. The moment that has been clipped and reposted everywhere. A host looks Claressa Shields in the eye and asks, can I ask you a real question? How much longer are you willing to be in a relationship with somebody's husband? Somebody's husband. In front of the world. And Claressa handles it. She points out that he filed for divorce, that he's serious about her, but the fact that the undisputed champion, a woman who has never taken an L in the ring, has to sit there and absorb somebody's husband, on behalf of a man who is legally still married and publicly still silent? That is a clip that should have ended with Papoose in front of a camera the same week saying, this is my situation, this is my divorce, leave her out of it. That clip exists. His response clip does not. Exhibit 3, the paper trail. Papoose filed for divorce in May of 2025, that's confirmed by multiple outlets, and yet here we are deep into the following year, and there is no finalized divorce. Remy publicly said he was the holdup. She said she offered to pay his lawyer fees just to get it done, and joked that his new champion girlfriend could chip in too. Reportedly. Her words. So the man who filed is allegedly slow-walking the very divorce he filed for, while his girlfriend absorbs the somebody's husband questions. Exhibit 4. The content he does give us. Because it's not like Papoose vanished off the earth, no, he's very much online. Rapping. In cars. Dropping freestyles over beats while the internet is on fire asking what he does for a living, asking why 3 different women, Remy, Claressa, and even the interviewers pressing the issue, all seem to be independently arriving at the same confused question. What does this man actually do? The man's answer to a full-blown public relations crisis surrounding his name, his marriage, his money, and his woman was to rap. From a vehicle. Does everybody understand how insane that is? The most visible man in the story is visible doing everything except addressing the story. And if you think that's accidental, keep watching, because that silence is not a personality trait, it's a strategy, and the receipts for that are coming. And oh, do I have more? Because everything I just showed you is the stuff you could find with a search bar. What comes next is the stuff happening inside the culture, the responses, the subliminals, the receipts being passed between the people actually in this triangle, and I promise you the Papoose defenders are not going to like this next section at all. We are about to get into what Remy actually said about the TuneCore arrangement, what Easy said when he finally talked, and the one Papoose interview moment that accidentally confirmed the very thing he's been hiding from. Stay right here. Now let's get into what the streets and the insiders have been saying, because this is where the story stops being about clips and starts being about patterns. First, Remy Ma's Instagram live sessions, and there were several, one of them stretching close to 90 minutes, which the blogs immediately dubbed her TED Talk. In those lives, Remy didn't just call him a cheater back. She went forensic. She said the TuneCore position, the thing Papoose kept pointing to as proof he's an executive, that I transitioned from artist to executive, talking point, was not a salary job at all. According to her, he didn't get a check from TuneCore. He was getting a percentage of subscriptions, and that is why, she says, he was furious that she wouldn't post it to her 11 million followers. Read that again. The man needed his wife's audience to make his job look like a job. And now notice, Claressa said he's not her manager and doesn't touch her money, which means he can't monetize her platform either. Do you see the pattern forming? 2 women, 2 massive platforms, and the same man orbiting both of them with his hand out, allegedly. Second, Easy the block captain finally talked, and when he did, in interviews covered by Vibe and others, he didn't run from it. He addressed the relationship with Remy, he addressed the knockout, and he framed the entire Chrome 23 altercation as a husband who had already lost the house coming to swing on the man standing in the front yard. Love him or hate him, Easy did the one thing Papoose refuses to do, he answered questions directly. Third, Papoose did sit down for a big platform, the Drink Champs conversation that made the rounds, and here's what he chose to talk about. Not the divorce. Not the accusations. He talked about Claressa's business. He spoke on her knowledge and strategy, on her being in a bidding war, on an $8 million deal. On camera. Smiling. Now, hold on. He can't make one statement defending the woman from somebody's husband's slander, but he can make time to publicly discuss her multi-million-dollar deal structure. He has unlimited energy for her money conversations and zero energy for her reputation conversations. And I know some of y'all are typing right now, he's just being a supportive private man. He doesn't owe the internet anything, and listen, I hear that argument. I really do. But that defense dies the second you remember who we're talking about. This is the same man who, when it was time to accuse Remy of cheating, did it publicly. The same man who posted recordings reportedly of Easy confessing to blackmail on his page. The same man who, per TMZ, admitted to putting hands on somebody at his wife's event. Papoose has never been private when being public served him. The silence only appears when the questions are about his income, his job, and his divorce timeline. That's not privacy. That's selectivity. And fourth, the cultural temperature itself. Scroll the comments under any of these clips, under Claressa's interview, under Remy's lives, under the knockout footage, and you will see the same joke told 10,000 different ways. The one the culture has fully adopted, Tommy. As in Tommy from Martin. The man who, for 5 seasons, nobody ever saw go to work. What do you do for a living became the national catchphrase attached to this man. When the culture gives you a nickname like that, and it sticks, when even people who are writing for Black Love Pap are now posting Tommy gifs, that is not a meme anymore. That is a verdict being drafted in real time. And here is the hard gear shift, because everything I just laid out, the interviews, the lives, the Drink Champs moment, is still just people talking. The real question is why the talking is distributed so unevenly. Why the woman fights, the ex-wife testifies, the boyfriend interviews, and the man at the center floats above it all untouched. That answer isn't in the culture. It's in the machinery. So let's leave the blogs and go into the rooms where the actual decisions are being made, because once you understand the system Papoose is standing inside of, every single silent day of his starts making perfect, cynical sense. Let's talk about the courtroom first, because that is the engine under all of this. New Jersey divorce proceedings are not a vibes-based exercise. They are a documented, discoverable, on-the-record process, and everything you say publicly during an active divorce is ammunition. Every interview, every Instagram caption, every freestyle bar, every Drink Champs anecdote can be screenshot, transcribed, and entered into a filing. Papoose filed in May 2025. Remy publicly stated she financially supported the family and offered to pay his lawyer. Think about what that claim, if it shows up in court filings, does to any argument Papoose might make about support, about assets, about who carried whom. Now think about what happens if he goes on a podcast and says, I'm an executive, I made X, I built Y. Congratulations, he just created discoverable testimony about his income that a divorce attorney will use to calibrate every number in that case. And the reverse is also true. If he goes public and admits lean years, admits the TuneCore percentage arrangement, admits anything close to what Remy alleged, he just torched his negotiating position and his public brand simultaneously. When your income is unclear and your brand is your only asset, silence is the only rational move. He's not hiding from the internet. He's hiding from discovery. That is systemic angle number 1. The man's silence is litigation hygiene. Angle number 2. The economics of attachment. Look at the arc honestly. The Black Love brand with Remy was not a sentiment, it was a business. Television checks, hosting gigs, joint appearances, speaking engagements about marriage and loyalty. His most bankable asset for a decade was being one half of a unit. When that unit dissolved, a man with a dormant music career and a disputed employment history had exactly one move, attached to a rising asset. Enter Claressa Shields, a generational athlete entering her maximum earning window, reportedly in bidding wars, reportedly doing 8-figure adjacent business. Now notice the division of labor in this relationship. SG fights, SG promotes, SG does press, SG answers questions, SG publicly clarifies his role in her money, and he does strategy. Quietly. In the background. Unverifiably. I've watched the music industry do this for 20 years, the non-performing partner whose entire contribution is being around the deal, and the tell is always the same. They are endlessly available to discuss the money and categorically unavailable to discuss anything else. He went on the biggest podcast platform in the culture and talked about her deal. Her deal. Angle number 3. The media machine itself. Understand how the blog economy actually works. Outlets need the triangle. Remy versus Papoose versus Claressa, because triangles monetize. Every interview where Claressa gets asked somebody's husband is a clip farm. Every Remy live is a week of content. But Papoose? Papoose, talking carefully, calmly, lawyered up, gives the machine nothing. And here's the dark genius of it. His absence is also a growth strategy for the narrative. As long as he never defines what he does, the question never closes. The speculation is the coverage. The man has figured out, or been advised, that in the attention economy, an unanswered question about you is worth more than an answered one, because the answered one ends the cycle. Meanwhile, the entire reputational cost of keeping that question open is being paid by Claressa Shields, one humiliating interview at a time. He outsourced his PR crisis to his girlfriend and called it love. Do y'all see it now? This isn't a man who lost his voice. This is a man who did the math, the courtroom costs of talking, the financial upside of the attachment, and the free marketing of the mystery all point the same direction. Silence. Total, strategic, profitable silence. And once you see that, the biggest revelation of this whole story stops being, where is he, and becomes what his silence just admitted. So here it is. Here is the truth bomb, and I am going to walk it out slowly, because everything in this video has been building to it. The silence is the confession. For over a decade, Papoose's entire public value, his brand, his bookings, his cultural goodwill, the whole greatest husband in hip-hop mythology, rested on one claim, that he was the man who showed up. That was the whole product. Show up to the prison visits. Show up to the vow renewal. Show up, show up, show up, when nobody else would. That image was so powerful that when this marriage collapsed, a huge portion of the culture instinctively sided with him, because the brand said he was the loyal one, and brands are stubborn. But now watch what the last year has revealed. When his name became a courtroom-adjacent liability, when showing up started costing instead of paying, the man who built a career on presence chose absence. Every single time. The somebody's husband question gets asked to his girlfriend's face? Absent. His ex-wife goes live for 90 minutes detailing his finances? Absent. The entire culture adopts a sitcom nickname about him not having a job? Car freestyle. Which means the loyalty was never the identity. The loyalty was the look, a role he performed while it was the most valuable role available to him, and the moment the valuable role became silent partner of a wealthy champion, he slipped into that costume just as naturally. And here's the sharpest edge of it, the part that reframes everything. Think about what it means that Claressa had to be the one to deny he's her manager. In a healthy structure, the man protects the woman's brand. In this one, the woman's brand is being spent, interview by interview, to protect his. Every time she answers for him, she takes a small reputational hit, the champ answering for a boyfriend, the GWAT explaining a grown man's resume, and every one of those hits is a bill he lets her pay. He let Remy call him jobless. He's letting Claressa call herself unmanaged. He's letting the whole internet call him Tommy. He will let everyone say everything forever because none of it is legally binding, and anything he says might be. Reportedly, allegedly, in my analysis, the man didn't disappear during the beef. He was never in the beef. He was in the accounting. And a man who is quiet about his marriage, quiet about his money, quiet about his job, but loud about his girlfriend's 8-figure deal? That man is telling you exactly what he is. You just have to be willing to hear the silence. And that is exactly why, despite everything, the right people in this story are still winning, and winning without even trying that hard. Look at Claressa Shields. She is the one absorbing the disrespect in this whole arrangement, and yet what did she actually do? She got in front of the questions. Every single one. Is he your manager? No. Does he get your money? No. Are you with somebody's husband? He filed. Here's the situation. You can debate her choices, and the culture certainly has, but you cannot point to one moment where she hid behind anybody. She answered for herself and for him, on camera, while training, while promoting, while reportedly negotiating the biggest deals of her career. That is the person in the story actually acting like a champion. And look at Remy Ma. Say what you want about the 90-minute lives, but Remy did the thing that matters in a war of narratives. She showed her work. She made specific, checkable claims: the TuneCore percentage structure, the offer to pay his lawyer, the financial support of the household, and then let the public verify them against his silence. And here we are, over a year into the divorce he filed, with him still quiet and her claims still standing unrebutted in the court of public opinion. Unrebutted. Because the only man who could rebut them has decided his mouth is a legal liability. While Papoose is in the passenger seat recording verses, Claressa is main eventing and Remy is testifying. One man built a decade-long brand on being the husband who shows up, and the two women in his life are now the only ones showing up at all. That contrast is the whole story in one line. And what I want everybody to understand is that this is how it always ends. The culture is slow, but it is not blind. It took the public a year to stop asking who's lying, Remy or Pap, and start asking, what does Papoose actually do? That shift from loyalty debates to resume questions is the reckoning completing itself in real time. Brands built on performance collapse when the performance stops being profitable. The truth didn't need a press conference. It just needed him to stay quiet long enough. And he did. And listen, this is only the start. Two things are coming that you need to be locked in for. First, the divorce itself. That case is still open, and the moment there is a settlement, a filing, a support number, a custody arrangement, any document with real figures attached, every claim made in this saga gets audited against paper. And somebody's whole narrative is going to die in a court document. Second, watch what happens the first time Claressa Shields has a major fight week while this is still unresolved. She has never ducked a question yet, but there is a difference between answering for your boyfriend in a podcast chair and answering for him while you're headlining and he's sitting ringside, still married on paper. That week is coming, and the questions are going to be louder than ever. So if you want the breakdown the day those documents drop, and trust me, you do, you need to be subscribed right now with notifications on, because this channel has been on this story since the Chrome 23 footage first hit, and we are not stopping. And if you thought this situation was layered, wait until you see the next video, because we are going deep on the moment Easy the Block captain actually sat down and detailed his side of the Remy relationship. And there is a timeline in that interview that quietly contradicts one of the central claims both Papoose and Remy have made. Two stories were told to the public. The dates only support one of them. I'll see you there.